Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Open Farm Sunday webinar, the first one for 2026. Thank you very much for joining us. As we've mentioned in our pre-publicity, we will be recording this webinar, so it'll be going up on the website afterwards, so you'll be able to look and see and review it afterwards. The format of the meeting is going to be that we've got a series of presentations. We've actually got we've got 4 farms being represented today, which is fantastic. The plan is for the meeting to finish around 2 o'clock, before 2 o'clock. If you need to dip out earlier, that's absolutely fine. We will be sharing the presentations and giving our fabulous farmers the opportunity to talk about their larger Open Farm Sunday events. And then after that, there's an opportunity for Q&A, discussion, and also if you have any top tips that you think are being missed in the presentations that you'd like to share, then please add them to it, so which would be great. There we go. We've got extra people coming on board. So, right, I shall share my screen and start the presentation. Right, here we go. So, let me just move this. Hello and welcome to our Open Farm Sunday webinar on upscaling your Open Farm Sunday event. A huge thank you to our farmers who are taking part today. We've got 4 farms represented from across Britain, which is fantastic. So thank you very much to Anna and William from Hall Hunter Partnership. Hopefully we'll be joined by Carol and Kiri from Orrisdale Farm. We've got James from Downbarn Farm and Kay from Croot's Farm Shop. So thank you very much indeed for joining us. And at this point, I do have to say a huge thank you to our sponsors who are there on the slide, because without their support, Open Farm Sunday just wouldn't happen. So on to the first slide. So next year, 2026, we are celebrating 20 years of Open Farm Sunday. Absolutely phenomenal. We've had around 3.5 million people have been out onto farm. So we're keen to be supporting as many farmers as possible to take part next year on the 7th of June. And one of our messages is just saying, make sure that you're in control of your story. So as this year, our theme again is going to be farming with nature, with a sort of focus on biodiversity. So it's up to you how you interpret the theme, but it's fantastic if we can all pull together. And we certainly know from the research that we do that so many visitors really enjoy finding out about how farmers are farming with nature. This is one of our series of webinars. They're all saved in our YouTube channel, and so you can watch back on last year's webinars, as well as all of the ones from for Open Farm Sunday 2026 will be added. Last year, this is a selection of photos from Newhouse Farm. Andy Basin, when he started doing Open Farm Sunday, he's done 7 now. His first Open Farm Sunday had 25 visitors. It was a closed event, privately promoted to his local village, and over the years it's grown to 2,000 visitors. That's his limit. That's all that he wants to have. So, and he uses different techniques to actually manage it so that he has 2,000 visitors. But however many visitors he has, sustainable farming is at the heart of all his communications. So on to, and the other thing that I'm hoping that we're going to be talking about, lots of things to consider, volunteers, accessing events, ticketing, licenses, possibly getting sponsorship for your own event. When events get to a certain size, there's a lot of there are costs involved, and some farmers do get sponsorship. That photograph on the right is the sheep show at MHS Farms. They find a sponsor to sponsor the sheep show for the event. Top right, I love the access photograph image there with the map. The first time that I went to MHS Farms, you actually drove through the village and in through the little lane into the farm. But these days, when I went back there a couple of years ago, they've got AA signs up, and it's a big event, and they actually it's all properly signposted with different directions with all the traffic coming in one way and departing another way, which is fantastic. Lots of lovely images on the left there of volunteers. I love the image top left with a couple of the volunteers going around with lunch and snacks for all the visitors, which is great. And I love that welcome desk in the middle there from Hampton Estates Farm, where they do their ticketing. And another image that I just love showing as well is those soiled pants which have been planted into the ground to show the biodiversity within the soil. So it's, hopefully something that will come out of today's meeting is, how do you keep your event on message and those stories that you're trying to share with visitors? Okay, on to the first presentation and over to Anastasia and William from Hall Hunter. Okay, over to you.
Great, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Will Hosking and I'm the Operations Director at the Hall Hunter Partnership. So yeah, I'm just going to do an introduction on the business, and I think Anna will then be telling us about how we have started with Open Farm Sunday and how it has progressed with us. So next slide, please. So the Hall Hunter Partnership is a family-owned berry growing business. So it was started in 1966 by Mark and Mary Hall and is now run by their son, Harry. So the business is based in, we've got 5 farms currently, and they're across Berkshire and Surrey. So 330 hectares of production, not a huge land area, but berry farming is quite intensive. And we currently grow strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries. So with blueberries, we are the largest producer in the UK, and about 40% of the UK blueberry market that's grown here. So you can see.
I was going to say, brilliant. Sorry, I'm interrupting. Brilliant to see that you supply so many of our sponsors as well. So that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, I was going to say, so you can see on the slide our main customers. So we grow about 10,000 tons of berries per year, and Tesco is our largest customer currently, but we pretty much supply all major supermarkets across the UK. So we can start growing and picking strawberries from April, and we have heated polytunnels to do that, and then we will pick strawberries through to end of November, December each year. Again, the end of year production is from our heated polytunnels, but all the strawberries, raspberries and blackberries are under polytunnels, and the blueberries are a mixture of outside and under polytunnel crop. Yes, so B Corp. So one of the messages that you mentioned Open Farm Sunday was looking to promote was sustainability. And increasing biodiversity on farms. And I think it was in 2024, our owner asked us to apply to be a B Corp company. So if you are not familiar with it, you might recognize the logo. You see it on a lot of packaged foods and things like that. Effectively, it's an accreditation that shows your commitment to the 3 pieces on the screen there. So profit, planet, people, and it's the triple bottom line approach. So you have to be ethical and demonstrate the way you treat your staff is very fair. And there's the planet, which is obviously recycling and creating habitats on the farms and promoting pollinators and planting hedgerows and all that kind of thing. And the profit bit really just funds those other 2 activities. So without the profit, you can't invest into things to help the people on site and the environment. So this is something we started in 2024 and achieved it. So I think we've only had it for 1 year, and we'll have to keep demonstrating that we are pushing forward in these 3 areas, but it's something that we're quite proud of and advertise at Open Farm Sunday. Thank you. Right, this is a picture of the very first Open Farm Sunday that we held on our Surrey farm, Chewsley. Well, we had a bit of a debate about what year this might have been, and we think it was 15 years ago, from mainly the ages of the staff in the picture. But this, yeah, so I think Anna, if you would like to take over a bit more detail.
Yeah, thank you, Will. And hello, everybody. My name is Anna. So my job is communications and learning and development manager. I haven't been directly involved with organizing the Open Farm Sunday, but I've been with the business for nearly 15 years. So I've definitely experienced many, many Open Farm Sundays before. And I've had the privilege of being the kind of organizing person or somebody who kind of pulls different strings and communicates with different departments and bring all of that together. I like to see myself as that kind of having that kind of role. And I also just wanted to say that the upscaling for us, it hasn't happened overnight. So from what this photograph is showing, we only had a couple of visitors, and throughout this years, we went up to, I think last year we had about 4,000 visitors. Probably that's in the current setup is our maximum capacity. But yeah, again, just for somebody who is thinking to upscale, don't think that it has to go 10 times more, 100 times more. It can gradually go up in terms of your numbers. And yeah, it's great to see the 20th anniversary next year for the Open Farm Sundays event. Whole Hunter is going to be 60 next year. So we'll try to tie it up to our anniversary, celebrate them together. And we are here today to share how we do it. I appreciate the horticulture setup might be a bit different from maybe arable or some animals farming. And also we would like to learn from other businesses as well. So if you go on to the next slide, please. So in terms of the idea of the Open Farm Sunday, for us, it's always been about promoting of the British farming, making sure that we make the event as informative as possible and help people understand where the food comes from. In our cases, how the berries are grown, and help people to find the answers to those questions. Like I mentioned, last year we had approximately 4,000 visitors. And for us, the most important one, and for the farms who are thinking about upscaling, I would say think of the budget first. If you used to run the events on a smaller scale, is there anything else you need to do, purchase in addition to what you already have? To make this event successful and to make it run as smoothly as the lower scale event as well. For us personally, the number of people and visitors equals the numbers of car spaces, because unfortunately we don't have like a large area, a large field where everybody can just park their cars. And so we always calculate the number of parking spaces, how many cars we can accommodate. Usually it's in some of the car parking areas that we already have. We also ask people to park around the fields that we have. So that will help us establish the total and the maximum number of people we can accommodate. Also think about if you used to run the event within a particular timings, let's say from 10 to 12, and you are increasing the numbers, is this enough time for people to have the experience and to be able to see the things that they usually would see? So maybe consider slightly extending the timings of your event to make sure that everybody have the chance to experience the farm and to participate in all of the activities that you're planning. Think about the theme. Annabelle has mentioned about the theme. So the next year we will be thinking what can we do to showcase how we support that particular theme of the event. The next step for us in terms of the planning is to think about where on the farm the main event is going to take place. And we experimented throughout the years with different locations on the farm. And at the moment, Tuesley Farm is our largest and biggest location. So we think it's the best for us because we have a large football area there. We have got a playground. So we think for us to accommodate that number of people is the best place. And then internally, do you have enough people to facilitate the event? Can you invite some volunteers? Is there enough staff that you have who will be able to help? If not, is there anything that you can outsource externally? Other businesses can join. Maybe you're part of local businesses groups who will be able to come and participate, help you with food and drinks arrangements. And of course, the last but not least, the health and safety assessment, make sure that everything is running smoothly. Again, for us, during the summertime and beginning of June is quite busy. So we would have, let's say, trucks and lorries coming in every single day. And we need to understand, are we able to stop the process for that amount of time, or are we able to divert the process to a different location to allow that to happen? Next slide, please. Thank you. Yep, this is just some of the ideas of what we've had organized for the event this year. So we had some hot food, we had some machinery display, tractor trailer ride, which is always a huge success. We also had the pick your own. People really like our pick your own. That's majority of the visitors are coming to experience that in the tractor ride. We also got some of the local businesses involved, local schools. They had their stalls with some cakes sales. We had a local music group as well, and a beekeeper, a face painter. So I think it's in terms of your kind of organization, think about who else you can get involved and how they can help you to advance the offer that you have for the visitors. The next slide is organization.
Hold on, Anna.
Yeah.
You can't move on without talking about that photograph in the bottom centre. Wow, modern technology, robotics. Must be something that Hall Hunter's looking into. And so you got one of your suppliers on board to come and talk about it.
Yeah, that
Fantastic.
was a bit unusual, but we thought, hey, we're looking into robotics, we're looking into kind of how that can help us in our day-to-day activities. And so, yeah, there was like a little picking robot demonstration. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Love it.
Thank you. Yeah, so in terms of organizing, we usually start early around March time, and then we have regular catch-ups with the team to understand who does what. Like I said, my role is to facilitate the discussions. Quite a lot of that the farm itself would do. So we just need to make sure the farm is updated and everybody's kept on track. So we agree on who is responsible for what area. Then we go to contact local school and businesses and ask them to join. Important to notify neighbors if you have got any like houses around the farm, and usually you do a small event and now you do bigger one, that is going to have an effect on the traffic. So we always like to let them know that it's going to be busier than usual. If you can, prepare the signs, place them on the roads approaching your farm. Within the farm, make sure that you clearly mark the areas and the locations of the car parks and where to go for the main event. So logistics is really, really important. Make sure you have enough toilets, enough hand washing facilities, enough spaces, the car park, the parking marshals. In terms of the day itself, we like to set up not on Sunday the morning, but possibly Saturday or even Friday to make sure we have everything in place. Again, last but not least, make sure you register your event on Leaf website. We usually do that about 1.5 months in advance of the event. And we do use the try booking, which I think is a really, really good system that helps us communicate with the visitors. We are able to set up different time blocks, and we usually do that 1 month in advance of the event.
I think, Anna, am I right in saying for this year, we split the time into 2 different slots, which really helped?
Yes, yeah. So we split the time to make sure that we have a reasonable number of visitors for each slot. So we don't have all 2,000 people, for example, come in at the same time. So yeah, that's really helpful. Thanks, Will. And finally, we do use a lot of ways to promote the event, promote via our social media channels. For the local school and businesses, we create some posters with the QR codes. And also if any local businesses are joining us as well, we promote through them, and have the photos and videos taken on the day. So we always have got somebody who help us create the video from the event, and then we post it on our social media so that people who are thinking about attending us for following year, for example, they know what to expect. So yeah, That's everything. I hope I've covered everything. Sorry if I took longer than I was supposed to have.
Don't worry at all. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, both of you. And the video of your last event, I absolutely love. So we'll be sharing that round with
Thank you.
everybody afterwards as well. So do we have Carolyn Curry here? Are you there to unmute and join us for your presentation? Hopefully from the Isle of Man.
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Hi there.
Sorry for the lack of tech to start with, but we've got digger work outside the house. We're sure it's interfering a little bit, but yeah, no, we're delighted to be here. So hi to everybody. So we're a family business. We're a fifth generation active beef and sheep farm. We sell most weeks to deadweight livestock. So getting our consumers on board for what we do is really important. So I think originally that's kind of where the idea for hosting Open Farm Sunday came from, was to connect ultimately with our consumers, but with basically the town people on our island. There wasn't never really an opportunity to get on farm, so to speak. So we started years ago, and then we didn't really do much sort of post-COVID. And then we got back into it this last couple of years, and it's really, really sort of gone from strength to strength. So we really enjoy hosting it. And we get, like Anna said, we get lots of other people involved with us to make it a lot easier. We found that's really, really helpful, like the young farmers and the National Farmers Union and everybody on side. So it sort of breaks it up a little bit. So what we have found with the children's side of Open Farm Sunday, they love the livestock, but what we have found is a soft area to play, sort of with the tractors and the bouncing cows. We found that interaction and more sensory things work with a lot of the younger children. And we find that they will spend all day at the farm. We don't really have a timetable. We very much are sort of free movement, 10 until 4:30, come and go as you please. We do try and provide traditional hot food, so basic food. And we find that people can sit around and just soak up the atmosphere. So one thing we have learned is having plenty of seating areas, comfy seats, rustic furniture. Farming adapted a little bit, like the hay bales. The amount of people just want to sit on the hay bales. It's crazy how basic it can be. And I think with being genuine farmers that take a living from the land, like, we find that the basic works for us. But obviously getting the organisations on side has been like a real help, like the beekeepers, the spinners and weavers when it comes to the shearing side, National Farmers Union. They all helped promote. Our island's population is 90,000 people. So if you use sort of 10 or a dozen outlets, they can reach quite a number of the island's population quite easily. So we find that that's how we kind of get our footfall. It's a very, very busy day, and it's definitely growing. People want to know where their food comes from, and we find it really helpful in that regard.
We try to do a rounded story. So a rounded story of wool would be the boys shear the sheep. People haven't even seen this, a lot of the people from the town, and to just literally touch a sheep before it's shorn and touch a sheep after it's shorn and feel the wool. The spinners and weavers process it and spin it and see finished articles. It really sort of makes them think about what goes into producing their jumpers and their socks and things. It's the same with the creameries. They'll bring like the whole story of milk production, how the cow is milked and it goes to the factory and they get their butter and milk and cream from there. It's just joining the links up between agriculture and the town, and teaching them that we don't all spray everything and we don't all cut hedges down and do dreadful things. It's just literally trying to just dissuade them from these preconceived ideas they have. And it's starting to work, really. And the amount of people that do ask quite sensible questions is good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How do you deal with car parking? Because how many people do you sort of have on the farm at any one time, do you think? What do you think is the most? Well, you say that most people stay the whole
So
day. So how do you deal with car
that
parking?
way, there shows us something to do over here.
It's either that or they come and then they go and then they come back because the children want to come back and see the lambs again, or to go and see a sheep being shorn. It's funny. It's a funny old place.
So beside our barn that we use for the Open Farm Sunday, we have holiday cottages, which used to be an old work and farm courtyard. And below that has a great big garden space, which is basically an acre or maybe a bit more of just grass. So we tend to open the garden and open the small paddock beside it. And it's very much, like I said before, a free timetable. Everything's sort of free to park as you wish, how you feel. There is structure and signage in regard to like sort of one-way travel, so people aren't going to get ran over, but it's very much come and go as you please. But the car parking hasn't thankfully been an issue so far, but this year we did find we work up to capacity. It has grown, so it's going to have to be something we look at for next year.
Have to open another field.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
more room for them, but everything, it's going quite
Do
well.
because do you sell direct to your visitors here? Are you trying to build a database for a box scheme, or do you try and sell direct, or not?
So we have one local which he takes beef, pork and lamb from the island's farmers, and it markets it for us. So when we have the processor involved, they bring all of their branding so people know what to look for in the supermarkets. So us personally, no, would be the answer, but more broadly, yes, because we'd like to say that the meat that we produce on our farm is under the Isle of Man Meats brand. So when you are in the local butcher shops, there's only 6 small butcher shops left on the island, that it is all from the Manx farms. So we do have the process to tell. And like I said, our farm business is basically deadweight livestock. So as much as we can talk about it here, we've got to be very careful of how we word what we say, what we do with our animals, because ultimately majority of them are for meat.
Yeah. And you do cook the produce and sell the produce for people to eat on the day. Yeah.
Yes, so we do have a traditional catering van that's been sort of coming with us for the last couple of years. They've come on board really well. They use all of local potatoes, local milk. They're local. They have beef burgers and hot dogs mostly. That is from the local butcher shop. They have their whole provenance written down on the boards around the area that they're selling out of their catering van. So it's that link back to the farm, and it's a fair chance you would know the farmer that's produced the meat for this butcher shop. We only have 200 farms on the island in total, so it's a fair chance that the school children going to school with farm and friends that have produced the bread, the flour or the wheat, for the bread side of things, and also for the potatoes. There's about 6 potato growers, and if you do know them by name, so we have got that love food store as well.
And we have an ice cream van. Don't forget the ice cream van. And all the ice cream is made in the Isle of Man from Manx milk and products. So that certainly goes down a storm.
Yeah, it's been a really sunny day this year, and it worked really well for the children. The queue was around the barn and a bit further. So, but he was given it a discounted rate. He came free of charge for us. We've asked, could you be involved, and he wanted to be involved, and that's what we find with Open Farm Sunday. Everybody wants to be involved.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, fantastic. Well, it's great to hear that you don't have issues getting volunteers to help and whatever.
No, it's not too bad.
Final question before we move on to the next farm. When do you start planning? When do you start contacting people and saying, look, can you get the 7th of June in your diary for?
Yeah, so usually about a month beforehand, I'll email. I only have a few contacts, but they've been very good, very helpful. They're very proactive. So they normally think, oh, well, we'll see you again next year. And we're like, yes, absolutely. And then it's just sort of we're definitely hosting. Would you like to be, involved again this year? And more often than not, it's yes, 100 times. It's been just one of those events where it's easy to get people involved. Like we have an agricultural show also at our farm in the summer, and I know the secretary finds it quite hard to get volunteers to come and set up pens and, you know, showground, but we find it very easy that they want to come and be part of this. Maybe it's a bit more fun, I don't know. It seems just to be everyone wants to be part of it.
So we also have like the historic tiny tractors, and then right up through to the big tractors, and maybe we're looking to have a combine here next year, which will make even more of a stir for the townspeople.
Yeah, they want to be on these machines. I've never known children to ever want to sit on machines for so long. It's crazy.
Even the fathers, it's like we've got a cattle wagon, and it's big for over here. It's not big for over yours, but we create proper steps up and down, so they go in one door, across the cab, and out the other door, and it's just literally ding dong. The fathers are worse than the children. They really are.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Right. Thank you very much. So on to James Cousins, Down Barn Farm down in Dorset. Would you like to share your Open Farm Sunday upscaling story?
Yes, thank you very much for inviting us. Just a bit of background. I'm the 5th generation farmer at Down Barn Farm. We've got a 6th and a 7th generation. The 7th generation is nearly 4. I think he's more keen on farming than I am. Perhaps he started telling me what to do. But anyway, we started our Open Farm Sunday in 2018, and we joined in with 2 other farmers, and we used to rotate it around. I think the event has sort of grown and grown such an extent that the other 2 have felt really they can't continue to do it. So in fact, we're now with another farmer, and we do it alternate years, because obviously it's a big event to put on, and we just feel we do need a bit of a break every other year from doing it. But with this other farm, we do obviously support each other, etc. The farm, we're a mixed farm. We're perhaps sort of known to be a bit traditional farm, I suppose. So we have livestock and crops. So we got dairy cows, beef cattle, and a lot of arable crops. We do get quite a bit of support from Arla, who are our milk buyer. They do actually provide a lot of samples on the day, and they do provide at least sort of 2 or 3 people to help give out the samples and talk a bit about milk production and what Arla do. Setting up the event, yes, I mean, I think by the time we get to Christmas, before the event, got to have in our minds what we're going to do and how we're going to organise it. What I would say, it certainly helps when you've already done the event and you know some of the pitfalls. First time it is a bit daunting, but now we're fairly confident. we know most of the pitfalls and what to do and what not to do. I suppose the main theme we've got on the farm is local food production. My wife Barbara's got a campaign, Love Local, Trust Local Food, as you can see here, and we're talking to the public here about the importance of locally grown sustainable foods. The lady in the middle there, she actually is a dairy farmer, not far away from us. She has various vending machines and also sells milk to local shops, to restaurants, hotels, etc. And we feel with the Love Local, Trust Local campaign, people want to know where their food comes from. They want to know what food miles they've had to in order to produce the food. And on the event, we invite other producers, like a jam maker, a beekeeper, cider makers, and so forth. And so we really sort of push the food side of things and how important nutrition is, and the education of food and where it comes from, etc., is quite a key part for our day. Planning the day, yes, well, things like obviously make sure you've got enough toilets. We do have St John's ambulance come along and help in case there's any health issues, etc. We insure with the NFU, important to get the right amount of insurance, because when you've got 3,000 people and you've got tractors and trailers running around, You've got to sort of prepare for the worst. One thing we do, or the stall holders do sell their produce, so it's important that you've got a Wi-Fi connection. Otherwise, yes, it's difficult. I think the days of cash payments have sort of gone. So it's important to have a good Wi-Fi. You can see here the animals that we have on show. Obviously, hand washing facilities is important. It was a little bit sad, I thought, this year. The BBC, in their wisdom, put out, I think there was some incident on some farm somewhere, and on the day of Open Farm Sunday, they said, "Oh, be careful if you're touching animals, etc." And all the risks of going anywhere near farm animals. And I thought that was a bit disappointing from the BBC, but perhaps less said the better in current circumstances. But I just thought, wish they were a bit more supportive. You can see in the middle bottom, there's my wife and one of our local vets. So the vets do a little animal farm. And occasionally one of the vets will bring a sort of a dummy of a cow or a dog and shows all the insides and all the working bits and that. And that's, I think, with animals and children, that's a very popular side. On the bottom right, my son's into poultry, and we've got chicks being hatched during the day. Again, very, very popular with children. And I think having a mixed farm with the animals and the crops. The other thing we do, we offer tractor and trailer rides, again, very popular. I think we had 5 trailers this year. We probably could have done with 1 or 2 more. Again, health and safety important with trailers. I think probably the days of a bit of rope around the trailer and a few bales are probably gone. We now have sort of proper trailers. Fortunately, some of the neighbouring farms run shoots, so we can borrow their shooting trailers to make everything safe. But the children love going around on trailers, and good opportunity for people to ask questions. So we're well supported by our local farmers who are very keen to sort of get on trailers and talk about what we do on farms in general. And we do get a lot of interesting sort of questions. We did get asked why we've got so many big rabbits running around some of our grass fields. And we actually had to explain, actually, they're hares. And we've seen in our particular area have an enormous number of hares about. And it was great to see them just running around in the fields, and a lot of the public had never seen them. And we also had a few deer running around. Again, they'd never sort of seen deer that close to, but we have a lot of hedges and woodland on the farm, and it was great to see all the sort of diversity that we've got. Obviously, thing about logistics, car parking, we have quite a reasonable field that we've just cut for silage normally. So far, nobody's mentioned about charging people to come in. Well, we don't actually charge. All we do ask on trailers is for a donation, just to help running some of the running costs. Obviously, the toilets and St John's ambulance and a few other expenses are incurred. It was suggested maybe a sponsorship from local businesses to sponsor perhaps a St John's ambulance or a toilet each or whatever might be a way forward. We don't actually use the booking scheme, because I think our car parking, I'm just a bit worried that if people have booked a slot, are we going to turn people away if they've come too early or too late? So it's really people just come as they want and when they want on the day. The afternoon we do show the cows being milked. So we block off half of the milking parlour, and then we have somebody in the parlour explaining what's going on. And then in the tank room where we store the milk, there's someone briefing people as to what happens to the milk, where it goes, and perhaps a bit of the life cycle of a cow and what's happened. We do ask all our sort of neighbouring suppliers, such as our machinery manufacturers, our vets, feed companies, even the police, the fire brigade, young farmers clubs, FWAG, the Dorset Wildlife Trust. They all come along and support, and they're very keen to come and support, which is great. And it just makes a better day, easier for us to run if we've got more people who are willing to help. I think that's nearly about it. I think the key thing we're trying to achieve is education about food production, on where it's come from, how it's produced, and how we sell it. And the sort of typical people who come on the day was generally a mum and dad, 2 children, have a great day out. They can buy food on site if they want, or they can purchase some local ice cream, or just bring a picnic. And really, it's a great day out for a family. And yeah, people come year after year because they really love it. So that's my little bit.
Fantastic. Oh, no, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, James. Hey, I hope you're here. Hopefully we've got Kay Croot from Croot's Farm Shop in Derbyshire. Kay, over to you.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm here. Thank you again for involving me in today. So just a bit of background, first of all, about Croot. So our farm shop is based on our family farm. It's not a big farm, it's only 76 acres. We are all sheep, all grassland on the farm. We started doing Open Farm Sunday several years ago. I think we've hosted it 7 times now. And like everybody has said, we sort of started small, and then we've grown over the years to our record number, just over 1,800 people last year. So the main thing that we're trying to do there is to get across about how we look after our animals on the farm, and also, as the previous speaker said, very much want to talk about local food and all of our local suppliers that supply us in the farm shop as well. So that's kind of the main thing. We are part of the mid-tier countryside stewardship and do SFI as well. So that is something that we've majored on this last sort of couple of years that we've been doing Open Farm Sunday. And we've been able to do, as we've extended it over the years, we now do farm walks and nature trails and talk a lot about what we're doing from the stewardship and an SFI scheme now. Like everybody else has said, we rely a lot on volunteers to come and help us. So obviously we do a lot around the sheep. So we've always done sheep shearing. So we have volunteers obviously who come and do that, and also who help fold in the fleeces. We often use young farmers to help come and fold the fleeces and talk about it as well. Like one of the other previous speakers said, you know, the families that come love to feel the sheep, and we really encourage that as well. Other things, so we have Shire horses on our farm. So that's something that they're very, I know it's less agricultural, but they're also very keen to learn about. So we have blacksmithing displays, and my dad and my brother talk about how we look after the Shire horses on the farm as well. So we started out small, as I say, and over the years we've added different things. So start off with, for instance, we just had one tractor there, our own tractor, and then over the years we've had other local farmers bring various different equipment to show that the kids just love to obviously sit in and learn about them and everything. There's always huge queues for those kind of things. We've always worked very closely with our local vets, Scarsdale, so they always come and have a stand, a display. They also bring the dummy, so you can, like, the kids can sort of practice what it feels like to birth a lamb and everything. And they're brilliant. They bring about 4 or 5 different vets and vet assistants with them, and they tell the children a lot about what it's like at lambing time. We also have all of our lambing and sheep equipment out and talk about that as well. And we also do things like guess the weight of the lamb, have lambs there, and we'll make sure that we've had some there that have been adopted, so we can talk about different aspects of the sheep and the lambing and the different breeds that we have as well. So we kind of major on that. Over the years, we've added different things. So one of the other popular things that we do is a butchery demonstration. Obviously, we're able to do that being a farm shop. So we run sort of 3 butchery demos through the day, talking about where the meat comes from. And then we use another local farmer who supplies us with our beef. So she'll come and do a talk alongside our butchery team and talk about, again, obviously where the meat comes from, how they look after their limbers and cattle, and then, you know, what we do with it. Other popular things that we've introduced over the years, so we have a small animal petting farm that comes now, again, very, very popular. Bring goats, rabbits, all kinds of different things. It's always been very popular. We also have the local beekeeper that supplies us with honey just down the road. So he comes and does a display about beekeeping and tells everybody about the honey and how all that works and all of his hives and everything. And we do lots of other things that we've added to over the previous years. So lots of competitions, face painting, music. The young farmers come and have a stand and do different demonstrations and things as well. And we have lots of different stalls as well. The nature trails are always really popular. I've got a guy that helps me do that, a local sort of conservation guy that comes and helps me alongside. So he can talk about the different trees and birds, and I can explain what we're doing on all the kind of, say, on the SFI and the mid-tier stewardships and everything. So the combination of the two things work well. We've involved the local agricultural merchants as well, so they supply us with different foods for different animals. So again, the families can go along and try and guess what food is for what kind of animal and everything, so they quite enjoy doing that. The thing that was the last couple of years, we've been around about sort of 1,500-ish people, but last year, so we went to over 1,800 because we were able to get, as you can see the photograph there, Harriet Cowan of Clarkson's farm, because she's a friend of one of our staff that works in the farm shop. So she came and we had a marquee and she gave a talk, and she was amazing. And that brought, you know, several extra, a few hundred people into the thing. So that was a bit of a coup for us last year. I'm not sure we'll be able to continue that again. Planning for us really pretty much starts in January. So in January, I go out and ask the blacksmith, the sheep shearer, various farmers, you know, if we can borrow various equipment. I book the vets, all those kind of things. I tend to do that fairly early on to make sure that it's in the diary and we know we've got that all sorted. I book the Rotary. The Rotary always come and do car parking for us, which is really helpful. Last year, because we had so many people, they also use the local rugby club as well. So I tend to book those, and then the kind of planning really ramps up about 3 months beforehand. Obviously, having our own farm shop, we have our own company that we work with from a social media point of view. So we plan all the campaigns, the messages we want to get across. Like somebody else said, we always make sure that we do videos and take photographs and whatever on the day, so we've got plenty of material to promote it the following year. So we plan email campaigns, social media campaigns. We do posters around the local area and in local businesses. We work with local schools, and I've been into various schools over the years doing assemblies and that kind of thing, and explaining what we're going to be doing and why they should come. Which has worked well. Yeah, we use a lot of the materials that we get from Leaf, so the posters and the banners and that kind of thing, we use a lot of those around, and we do create some of our others as well. Like, again, a few people have said, so it's really important that you have obviously all the seating. We use bales like everybody else does, kind of thing, and we tend to have music playing, and we put a barbecue on. Obviously they can go into our farm shop and a cafe as well, but we find that people just like to have the barbecue, so we tend to run that alongside and have music there as well, which is always, as long as the weather's good, always very popular. We open up, obviously, fields for car parking on, and then we have another field where we're doing things like dray rides. So we have a shy horse and dray rather than a tractor and trailer, which is always very popular. And then we do competitions in there as well, like welly wanging and fun stuff like that as well, which always goes down really well. So guess the weight and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's I couldn't do it without all the volunteers there. They are just essential. On the farm, there is only, you know, my dad, who's 83, and myself. my 18-year-old son, and one part-time farm worker. So it does for me end up being quite a lot of work for me personally, but I still love it, and I'm lucky enough to have lots of people who always come, and family and other volunteers like young farmers and whatever, that will always come and help put on the day itself. But it is quite a lot of work, but because it's such a fun day and we always get great feedback from it, nobody kind of minds or doing all that. Say for us, it's very much about kind of, the brands in terms of the farm shop and how we look after our animals and where we get the food from. And then also inviting, so we have our local, the farmer who does milk for us, for instance, comes, the local farmer who does beef comes, the beekeepers and so on. We try and invite as many of them as possible there, so they can talk about where all that food's coming from as well. So that's brilliant to have. And lots of them, as you can see at the top, the beekeeper there, and a big sign from our local dairy farmers, for instance. So they come and explain all that as well. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a good idea about what we do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's absolutely brilliant. Wonderful. Well, I have one last slide or two last slides before we can start chatting. I know that time's running on, but just to say that this is one of a number of webinars that we're running in in January. We've got beef and sheep, arable, fruit and vegetables, dairy, through to health and safety and insurance. So we've got lots of fantastic things organised, and we've got 2 in-person events organised on the 18th of March at Hunter Pack near Preston in Lancashire, and another in-person event down at Strawberry Hill Farm in East Sussex on the 24th of March, if anyone can get to those events. So just wanted to say a huge thank you for taking part. So let me stop sharing, and then we can see everybody's lovely faces and we can ask people. I'd like to ask Anna first, just and everybody who does tractor and trailer rides and that sort of thing, how long does a tractor and trailer ride last at your event approximately, and how do you tackle it? Do they actually do you have somebody who gives a commentary, or how do you, because that's something that a lot of people are, and especially when you're upscaling event, if you've got 500 people, it's quite a lot. But how do you manage queues for things and whatever, and how long have you shortened the tractor and trailer ride because you've suddenly become such a bigger event, or do you get more trailers? I'm going to ask everyone who has tractors and trailers that question.
Thank you. No, it's a good question, and that's something that's definitely on our minds when we are arranging. What we've done in the past couple of years, we've just added an extra tractor because we could take it from another farm, extra tractor and trailer. But here we have to be mindful that there is sufficient amount of time for the visitors to enjoy the tractor trailer ride. So I would say it's 10 to 15 minutes maximum, and it goes around 2 fields. We will always have somebody on the trailer who talks about the business, about Leaf, about Open Farm Sunday, like why we do it. The visitors can ask questions, and we just kind of arrange it in a way that it's slightly away as well from the main area, so it's not interacting with any general kind of traffic and people just walking. And I think it works quite well, this setup. There isn't usually a big queue, but if there is a queue, then it's no longer than 10-15 minutes wait.
Okay.
And we usually put little tables and chairs for people to sit down as well.
Okay. James, and I think one of your photographs had a queue of people. Yeah. Was that the queue for the tractor and trailer ride? How do you manage that on your event?
Yeah, that was the queue for the tractor and trailer rides, which are really popular. The time-wise, yes, I mean, some of ours are about half an hour, and I think that's sort of the maximum we need. The problem is some farmers, I can't stop talking, who are on the trailer, and I have to hurry them up, and they get a real good debate going, but we just got to keep them moving around. So I think half an hour is the maximum. I mean, we had 5 trailers, and yeah, it's good when you get a good debate, but of course, if you've got young children, they get a bit fed up. And of course, the issue is you've got to manage the tractors away from the people and make sure you've got people loading up people, etc. And but I think a lot of people just like to get out on a trailer, look around, have a nice view. We try and make sure they're looking at the milking cows before they come into to the parlours, etc., out in fields. So, and look at different crops and say what's growing in the fields and what's being produced. So yeah, the trailer rides, I think, if you've got the right farm, etc., are essential, but you've got to manage the time, and I think half an hour is enough.
Yeah, I completely agree there. Completely agree. Anyone else? Carol, did you say you have tractor and trailer or not? You do farm walks, you mentioned, but
No, not yet.
No, not yet. We haven't. We've just, it's fired us to have an idea now about having another string to the bow.
yeah.
We worry that our farm
yes.
isn't very photogenic, so to speak. So you wonder if they'd get bored. I don't know. Is that a thing that you'd
Well,
find?
I think what James and Anna have said is one of the first Open Farm Sunday events I went to, the tractor and trailer ride was over an hour long. And I found it absolutely fascinating what they were saying. But honestly, if you are managing a large number of people, it really doesn't need to be anywhere near that long. And 15 minutes, as Anna said, is great. And I've been to Anna's event and been on the tractor and trailer ride. And it's lovely. People hop on, they literally just walk around a couple of areas. The presenters are always fantastic. They have just little set pieces to say, just 3 or 4 set pieces, and then come back and get the next people on, and people will love it. It doesn't need to be too comprehensive, and but as James said, it's interesting that if you get into too deep a conversation, yeah, it's whether or not those conversations happen off site somewhere else or not. I don't know. Kay, when you do your you said you do a horse and dray ride. Presumably that is just a little ride around and not actually talking about the farming, isn't it? So people are getting the thrill of having the opportunity to have a ride on the farm.
It is, yeah. No, it is. It's only a short because obviously we can't get many people in the dray, so it's just a quick ride around for sort of 5 minutes or so. That's all. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. And one thing that I learned on from a couple of Open Farm Sunday events, which a farmer shared with us, it wasn't an idea that we came up with, but when you do start getting hundreds of people or thousands of people at your event, then how do you make sure that if somebody's got a question that they know who they can ask? And it's lovely if you might have pens for sheep and pens for your cattle and animals, but have a pen for a farmer, and actually see if you can get a rota going with a farmer in the pen with an Ask the Farmer stand on there, so that when your visitors arrive, and it's always brilliant that we get so much of the feedback says what a warm welcome we had on the farm. So lovely to be welcomed on there, and I do think that's quite important. And you can say to people, look, here's a map, have a look round, we've got this over there, that over there, and whatever. But if you've got any questions between 10 and 4 today, in that pen over there will always be a farmer at some point, and you can always go to them and ask your question. It's quite a fun one. That's quite a nice way of dealing with it. Has anyone, before I keep talking, has anyone else got any questions that they would like to ask on anything in particular? No, that's fine.
Can I just say about the farmer bit? I mean, we do try and have a different coloured jacket or a high-vis jacket with a farmer written on it. And I mean, we're like a steward, but perhaps hopefully an educated steward, so they can ask about the things. One thing we said, we put all our farm machinery out, and people ask what it costs for the machinery. It was suggested we put the prices of the machinery on the actual machinery. Sort of a £250,000 combine, and that might just make people wake up a little bit as to what machinery costs.
Yeah, I've seen that in photographs at events. Another thing that some people do is actually get local auctioneers to come along and actually run a mock auction for buying the machinery, and getting the children involved so they can put their hand up and they can put in bids to buy things. And then at the end of the auction, the auctioneer will actually say what the value of the machinery is and talk about the machinery. So that's quite an interesting and interactive and fun thing to do as well. So that's something to bear in mind.
All of our volunteers always have the Ask Me badges on, so that I find that definitely prompts people to ask as well if you wear those. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. So that's part of the resources. Sorry, William.
Yes, one thing that I found really helped last year, because I was doing the tractor trailer rides, I went round about 40 times, was if you buy the, I think they're quite reasonably priced, battery powered microphone headsets. And you can turn up the volume, turn down the volume, but it means you don't have to constantly shout over machinery, over people as you go round. And yeah, it'll mean you can last the full day answering questions.
Yeah, no, that's a very good comment as well. Yeah, definitely, because there's nothing worse. And also, there's nothing worse than being on a tractor and trailer where your presenter turns round to look at what he's talking about. And then the moment you turn around, the people who are behind you can't hear what's being said. Whereas if you do invest in some headphones and a little microphone and whatever, then people will always be able to hear what you're saying. So, so definitely, definitely. So do any people here try to actually capture email addresses or try and, you know, do you have newsletters that you keep people in touch with what you're doing on the farm, or is that too involved? Do you just invite people for the day and enjoy building that relationship and hope that they come back later on? Anyone want to comment on that? Okay.
Sorry, carry on, Kay.
That's all right. I mean, we have a newsletter anyway that we do for the farm shop. So yeah, we on the day, the Open Farm Sunday, we always have sheets that people can sign up to our newsletter if they want to do that. We have them on the welcome desk. We have them in several different places around the event to make sure that we try to capture email addresses as much as possible. And then but then we send out, you know, fortnightly e-newsletters anyway. So it's but they like to know on that newsletter, as well as what's going on in the farm shop, they like to know what's going on the farm as well. So yeah, that's all incorporated into the newsletter. Yeah.
Brilliant. Do you use the ticketing service, Kay, so that you can capture email addresses through the ticketing, or not on the day itself? Is it just everybody's welcome?
So we've had, so some years we've used Try Booking and some years we haven't. We've done a bit of a mixture, I have to be honest. And last year we didn't do, actually. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a great system, and actually I use Try Booking for lots of my other events as well. But because we always seem to get a fantastic turnout, and it doesn't really matter to us that much at the moment in terms of whether we get 1,600 or 2,000, we can kind of cope with that. At the moment, yeah, it's okay. So we didn't really feel we needed to kind of do it, and it's free to attend. So we just encourage people to turn up. So so hence why we've stopped using it the last couple of years, to be honest with you. So
yeah, okay, no, James.
I was going to say we do use social media quite a bit. I know I'm sort of the wrong generation to be talking about social media, but we do a weekly farm update. It's all connected to our butchery and pub, etc. And we give them an update on what we're doing on the farm. But the build up to Open Farm Sunday, obviously, we do advertise what we're doing. I'm not sure whether we'd want everyone's email address and what we would do with it. Just one question about charging. Do people charge for the event? If so, how much and how do they do it? And what's I just wonder. I mean, we personally don't, apart from donations on the trailer, because I think it's to encourage families out is the important thing to us.
I don't think anybody here charges. Do you? Does anyone here charge?
That's one thing that we find, Annabelle, is that it's a free event. That's probably one of the most common phrases we hear all day. I cannot believe this is for free. And it means an awful lot to a family of sort of 2 adults and 3 to 4 children. That they're very grateful, very, very grateful. So like James says, maybe a donation bucket and then a choice of charity, I don't know. But we find that people do commend the Open Farm Sunday for the fact it is reasonable or free.
Yeah. We do. The majority of events are free. If people do charge, we do hear of people charging sort of £3, £4, £5 an adult, something like that. And so keeping it minimal. I do appreciate that things like perhaps hiring people barriers or, toilets and some of those things does cost. But as I say, there's two options there: either getting sponsorship for things or charging for things. One of the things about having a bucket full is that people just don't have cash these days. As James mentioned, for all the people who are selling things at your event, you really need to have good Wi-Fi, which isn't always the case on farms. But we do know of the Biston Farms down in Hampshire. They put up QR codes and said, look, we've put this event on for free, but we would value any donations, and would you be willing to, if you are willing to donate and you'd like to donate online, here's a QR code. The year that they did that, the first year they did it, they only had about £200 donated on the day, which they found a little bit disappointing. They get in the region of 3,000 to 4,000 visitors, but they did say that within the next 10 days, it did actually get up to four figures. I think it was at like £800-900 or something like that. So, which was lovely, just from local people wanting to support and appreciate having the opportunity to. We're very grateful everything was put on for free. You can. We have, you can use, if you use the try booking system and the tickets, it's supposed to be a very cheap way of, it's a very, it's quite user friendly, and it doesn't charge a lot of money, taking a percentage out of an entrance fee for people. But the ethos of Open Farm Sunday is free, and it's absolutely lovely that all of you here do actually put on your events for free, because we, as you said, we get...
So one thing we do, the stall holders, if they have a good day of selling produce, will make a donation back to us. Right. I mean, if they went to an open market, etc., they might have to pay £100 or £200 to have a market stall for a day. Whereas we say it's free, but if you have a good day, please donate. And if might get up to £50, and all that may help pay for all the toilets, etc.
Yes, yeah. The very first person we had,
Annabella. Oh, sorry.
No, you carry on.
I was just going to say that because all the costs were going up 4 years ago, we decided to put a charge on of £2 entry, and I regret doing it, because our numbers fell from about 1,500 down to about 1,100, and the year that we did it. So we've never done it since. We do ask for donations now, when we use that to fund the Rotary, basically, because we give them about £350. And then they use that for their local charities. So we do put buckets around just to do that, to fund that particular thing. Other than that, we kind of fund it ourselves. But I wish I'd never done the charge. I thought £2 was going to be okay. That was just covering some of the costs that we were incurring. But I said it did drop off considerably. So we've not done it since.
Fair enough. No, that's it's up to you. As I say, we kind of put a limit on the cost. We don't want people to be going out and charging huge amounts, because that's not the ethos of Open Farm Sunday. But fantastic. And it is lovely that Open Farm Sunday is open to all, and it's great that it does attract families, and the feedback that you get direct and that we get direct shows that visitors hugely appreciate the work that goes into organising events. So I do think that trying to get sponsorship does cost, but trying to get sponsorship for things is great. Andy Basin was saying when he did his presentation earlier this year, he was saying that he tries to get £100 sponsorship or whatever for each of the toilets that he has to hire in, and tries to get those covered by people that his suppliers and businesses that he uses in return for him promoting their support. So that's good.
Could I just add one other thing we haven't really mentioned is disabled access.
Yeah.
We do try, and because in the first year we realised we hadn't really done much disabled access from parking, etc. So we do try and make it easy for someone in a wheelchair to come around it. One of the trailers we can get a wheelchair on that goes around the farm, and I think we just got to consider everyone in the community, and disabled toilets, etc. So it's something that we need to think about.
Yeah. Definitely. And one thing that I'd like to share that I've learned from previous presentations is not just physical disability, but perhaps people who have autistic children or who need signing. And I know that a couple of our farms, if they promote their event as opening at 10 o'clock in the morning, or 10:30, an hour beforehand, they put out to local schools if there are any children who have some sort of neurodiversity, that they can't cope with they can't cope with thousands of people, they can't cope with the noise of having lots of people on farm, but they want to make their event accessible to them. And so they invite people for the hour before the main event starts. So that's a much quieter time for people to come and visit their event. And then we've also heard of people with trailers who've run specific trailers where they've managed to get someone who does sign language to explain what's happening, and they'll promote at their event that's something that they're doing, so that people can come specifically for that tractor tour if they have hearing issues. So there are different ways of being inclusive in those ways. So that's something to consider as well. That, you know, there is so much more that we can talk about. Has anybody else got any questions, any issues or anything that people would like to consider or contribute? We can keep talking about Open Farm Sunday all day long, well, I certainly can do. And I know we have to, we're taking up your valuable time, and it's not raining here in Warwickshire. So hopefully it's not raining where you are. So I don't want to take up more time. But just to say a huge, huge thank you to Anna, to Will, to James, to Carol and Kiri. Thank you very much indeed. And to Kay. Lovely for your contributions, and brilliant. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for all your enthusiasm for Open Farm Sunday. And and to everyone else, we look forward to our series of webinars that we're running in the new year, and we'll be in touch soon. And look forward to supporting you next year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.